This little AI-powered voice recorder from PLAUD is one of the latest devices I was super excited to try, and I absolutely hate it. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. Hey, if you're like me, one of the things you want is to be able to capture your ideas quickly and store them away without having to summarize, think about them thoroughly, troubleshoot, assign tasks, or do the work right then and there. You just want to capture your thoughts before they're lost and sort them out later. Whether it's something as simple as don't forget to take the laundry out of the dryer, or as big as outlining your next great American novel, which probably won't happen and will probably bankrupt you in the process. However, this little device from PLAUD seemed like the perfect solution to help me do that. But in reality, it doesn't deliver on any of the things that I was hoping for. So let me explain. The first thing I was really excited about was that you could clip this onto your shirt magnetically and live out your little Star Trek fantasies. Just like that. Tap to record. Cool, right? Commander Riker, report to the bridge immediately. The problem is, when it's clipped to your shirt, you can't see the recording button, and a lot of people have complained that you also can't see the recording light. So sometimes it records and sometimes it doesn't. A lot of people have commented that somehow it started recording, presumably they've touched it or leaned against something, and that they have hours of recordings at the end of the day. Also, on some devices, you get different vibration patterns to tell if you're recording or stopping. For example, on my Instago video recorder, when I hold the button down, it vibrates once when it starts recording, and it vibrates twice distinctly when it stops. I bring that up because when I start this, and I can't see the light, it just vibrated. It went like buzz, and I think it's actually recording. You can see the little red light there. But if I want to stop this, and I hold this down, it goes buzz, buzz, buzz. So it's not a super distinct vibration difference. I'm not sure if it's 1 1/2 vibration when it starts and 2 1/4 vibration when it ends, especially when you're moving around and doing something or driving. It's not that easy to tell what it's doing. And so I can definitely understand why a lot of people don't know if it's recording or not. And then there's the button itself. There's no tactile feedback. I get it. Everyone wants to copy Apple with no physical buttons and the trackpads that don't actually move but feel like they move. But it's not easy to tell if you're pressing it correctly. You're just holding your finger down and hoping that it registers. It reminds me of my bone conduction headphones, where there's a little pad and you have to just hold it until it turns on and turns off, but there's no actual physical button. And so what you end up wanting to do is kind of crush the thing to make sure that it's recording, even though you're not really crushing it, but you feel like you have to just to make sure that the button gets depressed. I really wish the center had a small circular indentation, or better yet, a real physical button that would click when you depressed it. Now, it does come with this clip, which I originally thought would be perfect for this. I would just clip it to my shirt, and I figured it wouldn't bounce around. I'm not really a necklace guy, and so the pendant idea didn't really appeal to me, but I would just have it, and I'd be able to start the recording or stop the recording whenever I needed it, and it would be close to my face and not really get in the way of anything. But I understand now the value of the pendant. If it's on the pendant, I can lift it up, speak directly into it, look at the little flashing light. In fact, the little flashing light is on right there. I didn't even know it was recording, so I'm going to stop it right there. And so that's the benefit of the pendant, is I can just drop it down and lift it up when I need it. So I think that would actually save you from inadvertent recordings. And then when you're done, just drop it and it goes back down as a pendant. With the clip, you actually don't get any of that flexibility. So the other thing is, in the box, you get a clip and a magnet, but no pendant. And I wish they had included that, because to me, the magnetic clip or the physical clip are kind of the same thing. You get the same type of experience with either of these. I get that this one is more sleeker and high tech, but if I'm going to just clip it on, why not just give me one clip and the pendant so that I actually have two different options for experiencing it? I think throwing in the pendant would make a lot of sense, and I'm not sure what rope goes for these days, but I think it's pretty cheap. Another thing that I absolutely hate is proprietary charging ports, and there's one right on the back there. And so you have to use this little charging pad right here. So we'll go in there, and now you have to connect a USB-C cable right in there. I assume that they do this to make this waterproof. As you can see, if I put this on there, it's actually pretty covered. I feel like in most cases, it's not going to be a problem if there was a USB-C port back here, because if I cover it up with the clip, then that's actually pretty good. Maybe they could rubberize it or something to keep the water out, but USB-C is on a lot of phones and it seems to be waterproof there. So I'm not sure why they had to do the proprietary clip, but what I hate about this is now you have to take this little charging pad everywhere you go. So you want this out on your nightstand, on your desk, wherever you need it so that you can charge up your phone. But if you're going to travel, go on a work trip, you're going to need another one of these. Maybe it's a scam to get you to buy more of these, but I would so much rather have just a USB-C port on here so that I can travel. I don't have to worry about it. If I break my charging pad, well, it doesn't really matter because I have plenty of other cables that can charge this guy up. All right, now let's talk about functionality. And again, what I don't like is the execution. Maybe I'm missing something here because so many reviewers on YouTube say they love it. And maybe they got theirs for free. I paid full price, no discounts, no coupons. And honestly, I think it's pretty expensive for what you get. My goal was to be able to capture my thoughts throughout the day, just like the GTD system that I use. Maybe a quick task reminder, maybe a prompt that I want to use with ChatGPT later, maybe an idea for a work email. And sure, people also use it to record meetings or class lectures. That's not really my use case on a daily basis, but I get that some people would want that. But when you label something AI powered, I expect it to do something smart, like save me time. Instead, what this does is record raw audio and dump it into the companion app. That's it. You then have to go into each individual recording and manually press Generate AI, this button on the bottom here, to transcribe it, summarize it, create mind maps, all that good stuff that PLAUD advertises as the value of AI in here. But what's the point of that? At that point, I could just use any dumb voice recorder, import the audio into something like Descript or another transcription tool and get the same results. Me having to go into a recording here and actually hit generate on every one of these is absolutely frustrating. I thought the whole point of AI is that it's supposed to do things for me that I could do on my own but are pretty mundane. And pressing a button is pretty mundane. Now, here's the most important thing to me, organization. All the recordings are just labeled with the date and time. That's it. Dude, that is completely useless. In fact, it's worse than the built-in voice memo app on the iPhone. The recordings in the voice memo app actually tags them with not only the date and time, but also the location where you recorded it. That extra data helps. If I recorded something in the morning at work, I know that it's probably work-related. If I recorded something at school, maybe it's class notes. If I recorded something in the park, maybe it's a casual brainstorming session I had with a friend that I ran into. That's helpful context. It really helps me figure out which recording is the one I need. But in the PLAUD app, all I see are recordings that say 10:15, 10:30, 10:48. I have no idea what any of them are without clicking into each and every one and then generating the transcript. Now, on their website, I did a little digging. It says it will generate a title after transcription, but in my experience, even on the highest subscription tier, the one that I'm actually using here in the trial period, that never happened. In fact, here's a note that I actually transcribed, and it just says the red light is on, it's recording, let's see what happens when you turn it off. But if I go back here, the only title there is still the date and time. So it never auto-titles anything with the gist of what the message is, even after I've used that magical AI button. So there's no auto-titling, especially if it's something short like a task. I want to see that in the top, or meeting with my friends, or meeting for work, whatever it might be. Even if it's not totally correct, at least maybe it's going to point me in the right direction. I feel like that's the whole point of AI, am I right? But no, it just gives me a bunch of untitled files with dates that I have to sift through. And here's the kicker. You only get 300 minutes of transcription per month on the lowest plan. That feels like a throwback to buying talking minutes on the old cell phone plans. 300 minutes, 50 minutes, 120 minutes. So I find myself thinking, hey, if you're going to record that 40-minute meeting or the hour-long lecture, is that really worth using up your limited minutes? That's not really how modern productivity should work, especially in the day and age of AI, where transcription of long files is free on many services. And when I'm done recording dozens, maybe even hundreds of short voice notes throughout the day, the lack of smart organization, titling, and automation makes this device almost totally useless. Let me talk about the alternatives, because the best one, especially in the Apple ecosystem, is the Voice Memos app. It comes free on every iPhone, iPad, and MacBook, and in almost every way it's better. For one, it syncs seamlessly via iCloud, so I can record on my phone, and I've even set up a shortcut with the Shortcuts app, so it's a one-tap button on my home screen to start recording a voice memo. I can record 2 minutes or 2 hours, and then when I'm back on my computer, I just drag the file from the app, which is already synced to my desktop, onto my desktop computer, and then import it into the transcription software or whatever I'm using, and then I'm done. It's free, it works well, it gives me useful metadata like locations, so I can quickly find the voice recording that I'm looking for. Plus, if you have an Apple Watch like I do, you can even put a shortcut right on the home screen on the watch. So all I have to do is tap the icon for voice memo. It starts recording instantly. I can just speak into my Apple Watch and then have the voice memo available on my phone, laptop, desktop, whatever. To be honest, recording on my Apple Watch is way more discreet. It's faster and more practical than carrying around a second device. This thing from PLAUD, it's just a dumb recorder with Bluetooth and a paywalled app that does what other services already do, and they do it for free. So here's my advice. If you really want a smart voice recorder, skip this device. Just get an Apple Watch of any generation, set up a voice memo shortcut on the watch face itself, and just use that. Pair it with free ChatGPT or use transcription services like Descript, and you're good to go. You'll get more done with no extra hardware or subscriptions. Some of the extra features in the PLAUD app, like mind mapping, might sound fancy, but most people don't need that. What I do need is something simple, something that records quickly. I get tactile feedback so that I know the recording has started or stopped. I really want it to auto-label recordings with useful information and then sort them smartly. This device does none of that. The app does none of that. It's expensive, requires a separate subscription, and doesn't actually do anything that makes my life any easier. It just seems to offer AI services within the app that I can apply to the recordings that I can do anywhere else, but they just have it available in the app. So I usually don't come out here and just bash a product, but this one was just really disappointing, which really surprised me considering how many people just said that this is the future of AI. I really wanted it to work. I think a lot throughout the day and I don't always want to write things down. I scribble down ideas on napkins, note cards, and business cards. I use the iPhone Notes app sometimes. I even write things down on my hand, and that ends up leading to a lot of lost ideas or thoughts. But my dream tool would be something that I could just tap, speak into, and it intelligently drops that into an inbox that I can process later. I thought that the PLAUD AI voice recorder was going to be that tool. Not only is it not the perfect solution, it actually makes things harder for me. So I'm back to using the standard voice recorder app, which seems to work just as well and is a lot cheaper than the PLAUD service. I'm definitely going to keep trying some of the other AI voice recorders and see if one of them has gotten it right. See if there are groups of people out there with my issues that are focusing on the helpful stuff and not just adding in a bunch of features that look cool and are super AI-ish, but don't really do anything for most of us. And if I find it, I will definitely share that with you. But for now, the Apple Watch and the iPhone are the way to go. And if you think I'm missing something, or if you still want this thing, I'll link to it below. Peter Von Panda, out.